What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Philip back with Thrifty PS Gamer Reviews. Today we are going over the game Chained Echoes. Okay, so if my voice sounds a little weird, it's because I'm dealing with some sinus problems. But Chained Echoes is in running for RPG of the Year. I'm not going to say Game of the Year, even though I fully believe that it should win, but it's not going to. So just being realistic, I'm hoping it gets RPG of the Year or Indie Game of the Year, because Chained Echoes is amazing. You can stop the video now if you don't want to listen to the review and know that it's amazing. It's $25. It is available everywhere, and it is $25. This was developed by one person. He was the writer, the art director, the designer, the combat mechanics. He did everything. His name is Matthias Linde. I am blown away by this game. I bought this game because I wanted something retro. And I had heard some people talking about it and how good it was and all that. Then I heard that it was done by one person, and that really piqued my interest. So I wanted to get this game to be able to see kind of what the little bit of buzz was about. And I was not disappointed. So let me start off by saying there's no voice work. There's no voiceovers. There's no vocalized cutscenes. There's no vocal anything. And so if you're thinking it's going to be one of those kind of games that's like a old school 16-bit, but with really cool and amazing and beautiful cutscenes, and all the cutscenes are going to have a voice, and you're going to figure out how to pronounce all these names, yeah, you won't. You won't. As far as I know, it could be the town of Basel or the town of Basil or the town of Busil. I don't know, because there's no voice work, and that's okay, because the game doesn't need it. Matthias Linde does a great job of telling the story in this game, and it gets told in chunks, and it gets told through lore, and it gets told through talking to everybody. The other thing I really love about the story is that it is very, very good at connecting you to the characters. So one of the things I think that we've kind of drawn away from is the ability to connect to video game characters. And so it sometimes feels like the gamer can't get quote-unquote engaged if there's not voices and there's not cutscenes telling the story. So heavy kudos to Linde for getting that done and making it so engaging and so rich, and making you care about the pixels on the screen just by the written words. And so I really love the character development in this. I really love that each character has a story, and there's not one character that seems to get skipped over. You know, in some RPGs, even like the old school ones that this one mimics, you would get certain characters that felt like just kind of throwaway, and this game's story doesn't do that. And one of the things I really like about it is that even people who might have just been on the screen for a few seconds, or you might have only played with them for a few hours of the game, and then they like disappear or something happens. I don't want to say too much, but even those people have a wonderful story that continues throughout the entirety of the game. And there's all this wonderful storytelling where stuff is happening in the background. You'll move into a new area and you'll get this little scene that shows what's happening over here in this region and what's going on in this part of the world map. And it really progresses the entirety of the story. And so once again, kudos to Linda for writing this masterpiece. Okay, I think that's enough gushing over the writing. I think he did a phenomenal job on it. Now, let's get into the next thing. Let's go to gameplay. Because gameplay is done in a Chrono Trigger type of gameplay. You get mechs to play with. That, I believe, is from Xenogear or Xenosaga. You get so many correlations to Final Fantasy. I see a lot of Final Fantasy 12. I see a lot of Final Fantasy 9 and 8. And I see these things. I see some Zelda. I see just, there's so many things in this game that the one guy developer put into this. I said it before that if Top Gun was a love letter to naval aviation, then this game is a love letter to classic JRPGs. It is fully turn-based in combat. You have skills, you have magic, you have casting, you have a beautifully done combat system that we'll get into here in just a second. You have so much good stuff in this. There's chests to find. There's chests to find without being overwhelming. Like, there's only been one or two times that I'm just like scouring the map going, where in the world is this? There's also a point in the game where the map opens up in a couple different ways. And I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I feel like since this is on the options menu, when you hit the menu button on the PS5 controller, I don't feel like this is actually a spoiler because this information is available early in the game. But you will get Sky Armor or your mech suit about a third to halfway through the game. And then about half to 3/4 of the way through the game, you'll get an airship. And those open up the map tremendously. New places you couldn't go to, different kind of environmental puzzles that you have to solve. Like my Sky Armor can only land in certain spots. And you're trying to get over to this hidden cave, but you can't get there because you have to use Sky Armor and walking because the Sky Armor can't land everywhere. So you have to figure out kind of when to use it, when to get off of it, when to do that. And then the airship has a separate exploration setting on it where you kind of go around the map and you can look for hidden spots. And so it's just really awesome that there's kind of this 3-layer system to exploration. And so gameplay is so well done. Everything fits together perfectly when it comes to the gameplay. You know, you'll have some games where you're like, man, I love all of this stuff, but oh man, the cooking was such a slog. Or, oh dude, everything about this game was great, but and you just couldn't seamlessly go from attack to magic, or you couldn't seamlessly switch your gun or something like that. So like the gameplay mechanics work beautifully. You get to join a clan in this game. Not a clan, I'm sorry, an adventurers guild. And that kind of combines the hunts from Final Fantasy XII with the level up board from Final Fantasy XII. And it's kind of that setup, but instead of leveling up, you're getting items, you're getting some of the sacred water that you need to get your class emblems. That's another thing they did super well, was the class emblems. Like, and to say that this game should not be in the running for Game of the Year is completely and utterly ridiculous. And no, I'm not letting nostalgia cloud my mind. I think if folks, especially newer gamers, would get into this and play it for 2 hours, I think they wouldn't have the ability to put it back down. I know that that's what happened to me. I'm a thrifty gamer, says so in my name. So when I saw a new title with this much love put into it and people gushing about it so much, $25 was a sale. It was a steal for me to pick it up. And I'm so glad I did. But let's get into the combat. Because as I mentioned earlier, the combat is done in that turn-based style. And I mean 100% turn-based. It is not ATB. It is turn-based. True, genuine turn-based is perfect for it. And it's perfect because on any given turn, you can attack, you can cast one of 8 skills, or you can use one of 8 skills. And those skills range from buffs, debuffs, magic attacks, physical special abilities. I already said status ailments. And so, like, you have to sit and think. Every fight makes you think. Now, once you kind of level up and go back and start exploring other areas, you won't. You'll just do what I do, and you'll just hit the attack button and get the heck out of the fight and kind of gain your skill points. But in new areas, when progressing the story, the fights are going to make you think. You're going to start getting to places where every fight for the first hour that you're in that place becomes a battle. And so you'll have to be able to take that time to think and plan out. So you can do skills, you can do item use. And item use ranges from, healing, the normal stuff, curing ailments, but there's also stuff you can use that affects the overdrive gauge, which we'll get into next. Then you can do what's called defend. Defend is basically like guard from Final Fantasy, where you press guard and it makes your character take less physical damage the next attack. It also reduces your overdrive gauge. So you might be thinking, hey, Thrifty, you mentioned these overdrive gauges. What the heck is that? And the overdrive gauge is basically, it's in the top left of the screen, and every action you do increases the gauge until you hit overdrive. When you hit overdrive, your attacks hit better, your skills cost less to use, and your kind of one of your goals in the back of the battle, or in the back of your mind while battling, is, hey, I gotta keep this overdrive right. Because if you go into overheating, then you get more damage taken. Your skills cost more until it drops down. Now, there's going to be a little icon up in the top left by the overdrive that when you use a skill that correlates with that symbol, it lowers your overdrive. When you switch party members, it lowers the overdrive. When you defend, it lowers the overdrive. the overdrive mechanic is so fun. Let's kind of go back into the story. I know I talked a lot about the writing, but let's go back into the story. You start off, and the story follows Glenn and Lenny, Lynn, Lean, don't really know. But pretty much, those are the two main characters of the story. Glenn, you'll find out this out in the very beginning, is a very accomplished sky pilot, works for a clan, and him and his friend are going to try to stop this war with the rest of their mercenary clan band. And you get there, and then you find this grimoire, and y'all touch it, and it kills tons of people, tons of living things. And then the game fast forwards you a year later, and the cities or the world countries are at peace, people are doing okay, but then everything kind of falls apart. The world that you're in has been in battle for over 150 years, and all that people have known now for 2, 3, 4 generations is war. And so it makes people, kind of the leaders, don't know how to live in peace. And so you're trying to go get the grimoire and destroy it, and you're trying to put some pieces together with some other things that are kind of happening that I can't really give way to. But the game does so well about telling this story and constantly giving you twists and turns, and you get to find out so much about every character. But I think the game is pretty clear that Lynn and Glenn are the main characters, and that kind of forms heavily as you continue on the story. And then you have a ton of good supporting characters, and the game is so good at storytelling. You have memory issues, you have crossovers to previous lives, you have all of this stuff. You have the gods and how they play a part in this. You have another group that are kind of like seers, and they end up playing a huge part in this. And the game just builds on itself with this story so well. And it's the perfect balance of, I'm getting tired of combat, to, man, I really, really like that lore, or I like that story. And then you're ready to go back and do more combat. Like, the game is so perfect when it comes to its balance and its pacing. I remember there was one spot where I was like, man, I need to get out of here. I need to progress the story. I need more. And all you have to do at that point is open up the map, fast travel to the star, and continue your story. That's it. There's nothing that is tying you back from continuing the story. And so, let me wrap this up, because this is one of my longest videos I've ever done, but this game is worth it. Let me wrap it up. If you're a friend of the RPG genre, not even JRPG exclusively, but if you're a fan of the RPG genre, you quite literally owe it to yourself to get this game. It is $24.99, and it is on PlayStation, it is on Nintendo Switch, it's on PC, I think it's on Xbox, I wouldn't see why this game wouldn't be on Xbox. And it is $25. I am 30 hours into this thing, and it was $25. And truth be told, I haven't beat it yet. I still probably have a good 10 hours to 15 hours left. And that's not even 100%ing the game. So you'll definitely get your money's worth. And the story is perfect. Anyways, guys, if I had to put a big, stupid, ugly number on this thing, I would probably say this game is a 10 out of 10. So, if you could get this game, buy it, play it, enjoy it, hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, stay thrifty.